The last example that we're going to look at is another application question. And so it says, an exponential function with a base of 2 has been stretched vertically by a factor of 1.5 and reflected in the y-axis. So what this tells me so far is that there's an exponential function. The base of the exponential function is 2, and there are a couple of transformations that are being applied to this exponential function with the base of 2. It also tells me that it has an asymptote, and the equation of the asymptote is the line y equals 2. So that sort of gives me an idea of what kind of shift up or down the graph might have. Remember that the horizontal asymptote depends on a vertical shift up and down. And so if it's telling me that the horizontal asymptote is at y equals 2, then that's also telling me that the graph has been shifted up 2 units. That's some more information about transformations there. And then it tells me its y-intercept is at 0 and 3.5. Okay, maybe that information may or may not be useful. And then it asks me to write an equation of the function and discuss its domain and range. So, let's start by writing a general equation of an exponential function with transformations applied to it. So, we would have y equals a times b to the exponent k x minus d, and then plus c. And we can substitute in some of the information we know. First of all, we know that the base of the function is 2. So that means b is equal to 2. And we also know that there has been a vertical stretch by a factor of 1.5. So that tells me the value of a is 1.5. And then we're told there's a reflection in the y-axis. So a reflection in the y-axis affects the value of the exponent. So the coefficient of x is going to be negative. So that's some more information that I know. And then I'm told that there is a horizontal asymptote along the line y equals 2. So what that means is the graph must have been shifted up 2 units. So there's the equation of the function that I have so far. Now, it's also telling me that the y-intercept is at 0 and 3.5. So I don't really know if this function satisfies that condition. But hey, doesn't hurt to check. We can check if it actually does. So here's a quick little check to see if the y-intercept is 0 and 3.5. Okay, so let's substitute in on the left-hand side here. We'll just do a quick little left side, right side check. So the left side of our equation we have is y, and the right side we have is 1.5 times 2 to the exponent negative x plus 2. Again, be careful. I know it seems very tempting to multiply 1.5 and 2, but you can't multiply those two yet because the 2 already has an exponent applied to it. So let's substitute in the point that we're checking. Y is equal to 3.5. And on the right hand side I have 1.5 times 2 to the exponent negative times 0 plus 2. And I know that negative times 0 is just 0. 2 to the exponent 0 is 1. 1 times 1.5 is 1.5 plus 2 is 3.5. So far our equation satisfies the point that is the y-intercept. Now, looks like this equation is fine. It doesn't have any other conditions that need to be satisfied. But it asks us to discuss the domain and range. So let's take a look at the domain. And because the graph has only gotten a reflection, what that tells me is that instead of going up and to the right, because the base is greater than 1, the graph might be coming down and to the right. And so that doesn't actually affect the domain of the function. So that means x is an element of all real numbers, and the domain has not been affected. Okay? The range, on the other hand, why such that? Because the graph has only been reflected horizontally, so if we sort of get an idea of what the graph of this would look like, 2 to the exponent x would go up and to the right because the base is greater than 1. But then it's got a horizontal reflection, which means it would come down and to the right like this. So no longer this graph, but now it'll come down and to the right due to a horizontal reflection. And then it's stretched, and then it's shifted up 2 units. So what that tells me is that the graph is still above the asymptote, and the asymptote was at 2, so I know that the range is gonna be y, such that y is greater than or equal to greater than 2. I apologize for that. So y such that y is greater than 2, and y is an element of all real numbers. So there's all the information we know and there's a domain and range as well. Okay, so the graph has been shifted up 2 units, so that means that the asymptote has actually moved to y equals 2. So it looks sort of like that. Okay, and there you have it. There's all the review questions worked out for you. Here's some of the work that's assigned to you. You have some review homework from your from the My Class site. It's a document, and then you have some questions in your textbook to do to prepare you for your test that is coming up.